welcome to the Hire Rockstar Talent podcast. So my name's Alan David Duck. I want to tell you a little bit about my story and how I got here and how this all came to be. So back in 2016, I was in this bad place. My family owned restaurants. We're in the Dunkin' Donut world. I couldn't find any employees. I couldn't get people to come to work, and it really frustrated me to the point where, there were periods of times where I would go 5, 6, 7 months without a day off. I was working 15, 16 hours a day. I was stressed out. I was getting disconnected with my family. I was very unhealthy. And some of the things that happened to me ultimately led to surgeries on my feet. And then, what really it uncovered for me was open heart surgery, where I had an aortic valve replacement and a quadruple bypass. So, back in 2016, I remember this one specific time period and trigger event that happened to me. I had to go somewhere. I missed everything from my kids, and my wife said to me, Alan, we've got this thing with Noah this Friday. Do not be there. He really wants you to be there. And when you're in this moment of, I got to be somewhere, I got to get out of the store, but things aren't going great, it just seems like everything sabotages you, right? Everything gets in your way. And that's what was happening here. So I was spending the entire week dotting the I's, crossing the T's, making sure everything was covered. If this happened, I'd do this, so I could get to my son's play or event at the school. So Friday comes, and I'm very stressed out because I'm trying to get out of here. It just seems like anything that can happen happened, right? These are all the conversations that people didn't have all week, but now they need to have them right now. And it was just one thing after another. And there were two pegs that if these pegs fell, there was no way I could go because I just didn't have the coverage that I needed. And one of them was a closing shift, a very important closing shift at one of the stores. And I remember I was in the back, and I was doing something, cooking some muffins or something, and my phone started vibrating in my back pocket. And I knew, in that moment, that it's not good, right? It's not good news. You're surprised if it is, but it's not good news. And I remember taking my phone out, and the closer called out, and I knew that I didn't have coverage for it. I was going to be stuck at the store. So I threw that phone up against the wall. It was like the sixth $1,000 phone that went up against the wall, and had to give my wife the bad news. So I remember that night, I get home, and my son comes in the room to talk to me. Now, typically what would happen when I get home after a 15-hour day, I was very disconnected. I was so tired. I was so exhausted, right? Mentally, I was spent and I was just drained. And I would have dinner, and then I would literally go out, and we have this room in our house called the playroom, and I would literally go out there and just vegetate, disconnect. I would go on Facebook or whatever, all the social media channels, and I would just do something to kind of, bide my time until I go to bed and then do it all over again, right? Like 50 first dates. I just do it again, do it again, do it again. So I remember my son comes out into the room, and of course I'm disconnected, and he starts telling me about his day, very excited. He's like, oh, you missed this, and he's telling me all about it. And I didn't hear a word that he said, not one word. And man, I got to tell you, it hit me really hard because I knew what was happening. So I remember putting my phone down in tears, and I begged him. I said, no, I'm so sorry. Please tell me again from the beginning. And, I swore to that day that I would be present and I wouldn't let that happen again. So the next day I go into the store, and I'm frustrating. I want to make a change. I just don't know how. Right? I don't know what to do. And I remember some more employees calling in or, not coming into work. And I literally just took a temper tantrum that day. And I said to myself, I remember screaming at the top of my lungs that I was so sick of this shit. I was so sick and tired of what people were doing to me. And I was constantly lowering my standards, trying to get people to do things. And they still weren't doing it. Right? So lowering my standards still wasn't giving me the result that I wanted, because I was catering to them. So I made a statement, and I said, I'll let the customer pour their own coffee, put the money in the register themselves before I put up with this shit anymore. So I made a line. I drew a line in the sand. I said, I'm not lowering my standard anymore. Now, I went off after that moment, and I still didn't know how or what I was going to do. But in that moment, I knew I had to do something. I had to do something different. So I went on a journey. I went on a journey of learning. I spent a lot of time reading, listening to podcasts. I joined a business development group for married businessmen called wake-up warrior, and it really changed the way that I think. I was connected with a group of guys that, I could ask questions. We all had the same problems. You see, when you're in business and you have a family and you're married with kids, your problems are different than somebody else's. You have different problems. So I started doing things differently, right? I started trying things. I tried to figure out why people do what they do. What makes someone not come to an interview? Why does that happen, right? These were the things that frustrated me. I would schedule interviews and no one would show up. And this is back in 2016, before COVID, before all of this stuff. So I tried things, I did too much of this, not enough of that, and I found the better mousetrap. I created a program, a series of systems and tools to help me win this battle. And the two biggest things that drove me absolutely insane was that people were liars. So I remember when people would come to interviews and they would tell me all these stories about how wonderful they were. They were the cure for cancer. They were the best things since sliced bread, right? They did all this stuff for somebody else. Now they want to come work for me. Now they want all the money because they have all the skills, all the talents. And then the minute they would start working, they would actually start working, everything would change. It was like they were an entirely different person. They were a person of bullshit, lies, excuses, didn't do any of what they said. It was amazing how in that moment, people would die in their family, cars would break down, right? It was like there was a gray cloud following them around and only raining on where they were standing. And I wanted to know, why did this keep happening to me? Did I just make bad decisions? Did I pick the wrong people? What's going on here? Right? And what I determined is it's not me, right? It's them. It's the people. Now, what I wanted is I wanted them to be what I needed. People are going to do what they're going to do. Now, people will change, but they have to make the change. And what was happening at interviews is that I wanted them to be what I needed them to be. And that's just not going to work, right? So I had to find a way to get people to want to do things, to want to change, to want to show up for work at the times that I needed them. Listen, I don't get up in the morning and say, man, I just want everybody to get up and come to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's not what I'm after. I have customers at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's why I need people. There's tasks and things that we need to do to set up the day. We run a restaurant, right? That's why I need people to do certain things. The business has needs and wants. Not just Alan, right? Of course, Alan wants a business to run efficiently, but there's things that the business needs. So I had to separate myself from the business. And the business had to be an entity that had needs and wants. And that's what had to be important. So that's where I started. I started by designing a compensation plan that had all that built into it. Like, these are the things I needed. And I started compensating that way. So what I did is I implemented what I call the RockStar Journey. Now, the RockStar Journey is a series of a lot of things. And we're not going to get into all of it now, but as you watch the next podcast episodes, we will break it down. But the biggest thing is training, right? The biggest thing is setting people up for success. Now, we can only do this once we get past that interview part. Once we get past that part with the lying and them telling us what they can and can't do, and we really just make it systematically about, hey, do this, you'll get this. Do this, you'll get this. So we created a compensation plan to get that piece out of the way, right? Get the interview done. We actually flipped it around. We call it a fit test now. So people, are they a good fit for us? Are we a good fit for them, right? Because what happens is, if you don't want to be here, if you can't do certain things and you're frustrated, then we don't want you here, right? So we have to start off the relationship on the right foot. And we have to make them understand what it is that we need. You know, people say, I do things from day one. Well, I wanted actually to let them know things before that. I wanted them to know it at day zero, before they ever walk in the door. The only way I was going to slow down the revolving door of people coming and going was some of them I can't let in. See, the problem is we're making bad decisions, we're letting people in the door, and then they're going right out the back, right? Or once they see that it's hard or they don't like it, they waste all our time, all our money, they take our uniforms home, they make mistakes, they piss our customers off, right? There's all these costs that build up. I mean, by just turning one employee, it could cost you between $5,000 and $6,000. Now, if you turn 40, 50, 60, 100 people this year, do the math. This equates for some businesses millions of dollars. For people who suck, who don't even start off on the right foot doing what they say. So we got to get past this point. So what my Rockstar Journey does is it sets that up from the beginning, right? From the application to the onboarding process, we start right there. Then from there, we go on to training. Now, what we did is we broke the journey up into a few different pieces. The first stage is learn, right? We teach them things. There's certain training things that they need to know to be in our business. Now, in our business, it's coffee and donuts. For your business, it's whatever it is. But they need to learn. Then from there, they need to live the things that we're teaching them. They need to do it, right? They need to have the awareness of where they are and what they need to do, and how their behaviors impact the entire organization. And then from there, they have to go to a place where they live it more, right? They keep doing it. See, everybody loves to say, oh, I've been working here a year. Well, I don't know what the hell that means, right? You've been working here a year. Big deal, right? You have to keep doing it. What does that mean that you've been here a year? That you've arrived and that you just sit down on the floor and you get paid to do nothing? How about your mortgage or a car payment? What happens if you called the bank and you said, hey, I can't make my payment this month, but good news, I've been paying it on time for a year. You know what the bank says? Golf clap, I really don't give a shit. You need to keep paying it on time. So it's not about what you just did, it's about what you keep doing. This is what we need as business owners. They need to keep doing. So then someone working here for a year or two doesn't mean shit to me if you stop doing the things that I need you to do. Now, we have a great relationship because you've been here a year, but you need to keep doing it. This is where the whole mentality of the way that we do things, it's wrong. It doesn't work today. It's the old way of thinking. We're trying to solve today's problems with the shit we did yesterday, the shit that our parents did, our grandparents did. The people today are different. They're not the same people. So we have to pivot. And that's what the Rockstar Journey is. It's the pivot. Today's episode is sponsored by Smart Systems. Are you tired of your best people being poached? Stolen? Smart helps you create unpoachable rock stars. Check out the link below today. When they get to the top of the mountain, the rock star, now they can lead it, right? They can be the example. But here's the problem. Think about how many people are high performing in your organization right now, but then there's a whole bunch of shit that they do wrong. I don't know, maybe this great, in my business, we have say a sandwich maker, right? Or a beverage maker. Say that this amazing beverage maker, right? They can kill it, but then they're late. Or they call in. So how good are you if you're not there? Yay, you're great, you move your hands real fast like an octopus, but if your ass isn't there in the store making the beverages, it doesn't matter. So we have a piece that we call KPIs, right? Key performance indicators, things that you have to do all the time. And I list them out, right? And we have tools and processes and some technology to track that, right? Because as restaurant owners, one of the things that we do pretty shitty is document, right? We don't know what we ate for lunch 2 days ago, but yet we're going to sit down with someone who's clearly been not coming in, they've been late, and they're not performing the way that they should be, and we want to have a conversation with them, we have no documentation. So see, these were the things that I set out to fix. We have to fix this if we're going to change what's happening today. Now, what I noticed is if we didn't dig into these things, what would happen is we'd lose good people. The bad people, there was more of them than the good people. We pushed the good people away because we don't have any accountability, because we don't have any systematic approach or process to what we do. And then when we do it, we don't live it. It doesn't become our Bible. We go away from it because we're lazy, right? The system is the solution. Period, the end. So my Rockstar Journey, my smart system, is the solution to how we manage our people today. So tune into more episodes. We're going to dig into this stuff deeper and deeper as these episodes go along. So thank you for listening to the pilot episode today. And remember, hire Rockstar Talent Podcast. Click subscribe, follow, and I hope to see you soon.